are we going to finally learn the fate of the 239 people on board Flight 370? Straight out to Evi Pumpura, security and threat assessment expert. If, and that's a big if these three large apparent floating pieces turn out to be the wreckage, it would mean the jet did not veer off course, but something terrible happened mid-flight. If this is the plane, what might this new information, these new satellite images say about the cause, if anything?
Well, look, obviously, if the satellite images are legit and this is where the plane did go down, then they'll be able to recover the plane and get the information they need, which is the actual plane. And then when you have the plane, you have your evidence. They can reconstruct the plane, see, was there a blast, was there a fire, was there mechanical, what happened? Was it a hijacking? Was it, which one of these things was it, since we have all this conflicting information? We need something tangible.
When they get to this area, of course, there's currents, there's wind, whatever it is that they're looking at may not be right there. And of course, their priority number one is to find whatever it is that's there and get the black boxes out, which will reveal so much. And apparently, they're set up to transmit for about 30 days. So they still can be recovered essentially intact. Is that true?
Well, supposedly that's true. But again, that's if they can get their hands on the responders. It's almost a little bit sad, this story, because it's been how many days and the story keeps changing. Maybe it's here, maybe it's there. So it's all these what ifs. Yes, it'd be great, but I feel as more time goes on, we have less and less and less of a chance of getting the answers. I feel like that window, as an investigator, is starting to close slowly. You know, John Lieberman, I have to say that I think this is the biggest break in the case thus far. We've had nothing tangible at all, and then suddenly the Chinese government releases satellite photos that appear to show three large objects the size of 18-wheelers or bigger in the basic flight path that the jet was supposed to take.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Jane. It's the first actual tangible, something we can look at and say, this could, in fact, be the big break. Everything else has been contradictory from the Malaysian military, from the Malaysian government, from the airlines, from Interpol. This is something we can actually sink our teeth into and say, maybe we have something to go on here.
Now, tonight, we're learning a lot more about the men piloting this plane. We already knew that the co-pilot made some very questionable decisions in the past, letting some very attractive young women hang with him in the cockpit during a flight a few years ago. We got something else, too, but listen to this.
The co-pilot and pilot walked past us and then came back to us and asked us if we would like to sit with him in the cockpit during the flight. A short while after taking our seats, air hostess came to us and asked us if we would like to move into the cockpit. After which we did, and that's where we spent the flight. I was pretty surprised by it, but I thought that the fact that they're doing it must mean that it's something that happens quite often.
My gosh, he's even wearing his hat. We're learning that the pilot, that was the co-pilot, the pilot, this man, of the plane was so serious about aviation, he built a flight simulator in his house, and you can see it behind him in this video he posted on YouTube. So, Evie, what does that say? I mean, it's sort of odd that we've got all this information now about these two, the pilot and the co-pilot.
Yes, you have almost two different types of individuals. One person is letting these women into the cockpit, taking photos and letting them wear their hat, which just in a sense, it's a very unprofessional thing to see, and just that behavior. Then you have the other opposite, the extreme, having that simulator at home. So you see almost two contradicting behaviors there as far as the way they carry themselves. Could the pilot's behavior have something to do with this? Yes, absolutely.
Let me go to Crystal, Iowa, very quickly. You wanted to talk about this. Tell us.
Yes, I was just wondering, is the TSA security different in other countries than it is in America?
Excellent question. Evie, a lot of people are wondering, would it be easier to get into the cockpit in this particular jet as opposed to, let's say, a jet, an American domestic carrier flying domestically?
Yes, absolutely. Since 9/11, our protocol here, TSA, all that, we're on a different level and we operate on a different level. Now, unfortunately, everybody thinks just because we operate on that level of security that the rest of the world does. They do not. They do not have the same standards. A lot of countries are more lax than we are. We are obviously not as lax because of September 11th. So it is not the same. Much easier on another airline.
Thank you so much, Evie. And we've got some important information coming up about breaking news about that mom who drove her kids into the ocean. But first, everybody's talking about this around the world. Here's our Skype gallery.
The fact that nothing can be ruled out with Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 does leave it a true mystery. But the fact that it's a Boeing 777, it will be found eventually. That plane is enormous. But until then, we can only pray until it is.